Ladies and gentlemen, most people think life changes overnight. It doesn't. It shifts in inches, not miles. You don't need a miracle. You need momentum. And that momentum, it's built on the smallest habits you repeat when no one's watching. Today, I'm not here to give you a motivational speech. I'm here to hand you 10 small, do-noble habits that over time will quietly and powerfully transform your life, one at a time. Let's get into it. Most people wake up and reach for their phones before their eyes are even fully open. Notifications, emails, messages, the world is already in your face before you've had a moment to breathe. And that right there is where the problem begins. Because when you start your day in reaction, you give your peace away before you even step out of bed. Let me offer you a shift, not a big one, just a small intentional habit that changes everything. Start your day with intention. That doesn't mean you need to light incense, chant affirmations, or read a 30-page manifesto before breakfast. I'm not talking about a morning ritual that looks good on Instagram. I'm talking about 5 quiet minutes with yourself. That's it. 5 minutes of silence, of stillness, of ownership where you don't belong to the world yet. You belong to you. Here's the truth. Your morning isn't about what you do. It's about who you're becoming. When you start your day by reacting to text, to people's opinions, to the rush of life, you reinforce one thing, that you're behind, that you're already late, that you're chasing something. And that feeling, if you're not careful, becomes your baseline. But imagine waking up, sitting up in bed, and instead of scrolling, you just pause. You sit, you breathe. You ask yourself, what matters to me today? Not just what's on my to-do list. Not just what's urgent, but what's actually important. That one question asked consistently creates internal alignment. Because here's the thing. When you don't choose how your day begins, your day will choose for you. And it won't choose kindly. It'll choose chaos, distraction, comparison, stress. You want to know why the smallest morning shift matters? Because intention is momentum. You don't need motivation. You need a little direction. Think about it like a plane taking off. If you adjust the trajectory by just 1 degree at takeoff, you land in a completely different place. Hours later, your morning is your takeoff. 1 degree is all it takes. Some people say, I don't have time. I hear that all the time. But it's not about having times. It's about taking it. Nobody gives you 5 quiet minutes. You take them. You claim them. You defend them like they matter because they do. Those 5 minutes, they're not for productivity. They're for presence. Maybe that's journaling 1 sentence. Maybe it's sipping coffee while looking out the window. No phone, no podcast, no noise. Maybe it's just you sitting still, breathing deep, and choosing your energy before the world starts choosing it for you. You start with a clear mind, and suddenly your decisions change. You're less reactive in traffic, less rattled by that one email, more patient with your kids. You've already taken care of your internal world before the external one gets messy. And let's be honest, it always does. You don't rise above the chaos. You just meet it stronger. And this isn't something you have to do perfectly every day. Let that go. This is not another box to check. It's a permission slip to stop, to breathe, to listen to yourself before you listen to the world. And when you do this, day after day, something shifts. You begin to build a quiet confidence. You don't need a morning pep talk from a podcast. You don't need to fake energy or fake peace because you've already chosen it. You've built it from the inside out. And that's how you win the day. Not by doing more, but by starting from within every time, every morning. It starts small and then it starts working. So tomorrow morning when your alarm goes off and your thumb moves toward the screen, pause. That moment right there, that's the doorway. Choose you. Choose quiet. Choose your day. And watch everything else follow. Let's talk about something ridiculously simple. Something so small, so easy to brush off that most people never realize it. Power, making your bed. I know it sounds basic, childish even. Maybe you haven't made your bed since your mom made you do it growing up. Maybe you think, why bother? I'm just going to mess it up again tonight. I hear you. But this isn't about sheets or pillows. This is about something deep. This is about momentum. Because the moment you wake up, you're faced with choices. Choices that seem insignificant, but speak volumes about how you move through the world and making your bed. It's not about the bed. It's about the message you send to yourself first thing in the morning. I finish what I start. I take care of my space. I'm in control of how my day begins. It's the first promise you keep to yourself. See, we tend to underestimate the little wins. We're always chasing the big goal, the dream job, the six-pack, the perfect relationship. But success doesn't show up in giant moments. It lives in the small, repeatable habits that shape your mindset when no one's looking. Making your bed isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's a 2-minute act that creates order, and order matters. When your external environment is chaotic, your internal environment follows. But when you walk out of your bedroom and that bed is made, even if the rest of your day falls apart, you've already won once. You've already chosen discipline over delay, action over avoidance. That kind of win builds confidence. Quietly, steadily, it tells your brain, I can handle the next thing. I've already handled this. And if you're someone who's struggling to feel motivated, someone who feels like life's just happening to you, like you're in survival mode, start there. Start with your bed. It's one thing you can control. It's yours. It doesn't take money. It doesn't take energy you don't have. It just takes the willingness to show up even when it feels small. Especially when it feels small. Some of the most grounded, high-performing people I know have the simplest morning routines. They don't overthink it. They don't scroll. They don't start their day by reacting. They stack small wins. And that first one, it's almost always something basic. Something like pulling the covers up and smoothing them out, straightening the pillows, creating peace in their space before the world tries to pull them in 100 directions. Now let me say this. This isn't about turning you into a machine. You're not trying to become rigid or robotic. You're simply creating a rhythm, a beat that your day can march to, and when life gets loud, and it will, that rhythm is your anchor. What I love about this habit is that it's not glamorous. It doesn't need an app. It doesn't require some 21-day challenge. It just requires you, and that's where the real power lies. Because the second you prove to yourself that you're capable of creating order, of taking initiative, of following through, you start looking at other parts of your life the same way. It's not just about a tidy bed. It's about a tidy mind. You walk out of that room a little taller. You speak with a bit more certainty. You carry yourself like someone who takes care of things. Because you are. And here's the kicker. On the days where everything feels out of your hands, on the days where work's a mess, the kids are yelling, the stress is piling on, you still come home to that one small act of completion that made bed, that quiet reminder. You're still in charge of something. You're still capable. You're still grounded. So tomorrow, when your feet hit the floor and your brain's already racing toward your to-do list, slow it down, turn around, take 2 minutes, smooth the sheets, fluff the pillow, straighten the corners. Do it not because you have to, but because you can. Because in that moment, you're not just making your bed, you're making your mindset. Let's talk about something that sounds too simple to matter, but actually shifts the way your entire day operates. The 5-minute rule. Here's how it works. If something will take you less than 5 minutes, you do it now. Not later, not tonight, not when you feel like it. You just do it immediately. You'd be amazed how many little things we carry around all day simply because we delay them, answering that text, washing the dish in the sink, sending that email, putting the shoes away. It's not that any of these things are hard. They're not. They're just stacked on top of each other. And what ends up happening is that we're not overwhelmed by life. We're overwhelmed by delay. And it's not just physical clutter, it's mental. Every time you think, I'll do it later, you open a tab in your mind. And just like a computer, the more tabs you leave open, the slower you run. That little thought lingers in the background. It pulls at your attention. You forget about it, then remember it, then feel guilty for not doing it over and over again. You burn more energy thinking about doing the thing than it would take to just do it. The 5-minute rule clears that noise. I started applying it in my own life and something shifted. That email I kept putting off, sent that package I needed to return, done. That cup sitting in the sink, washed. And yeah, none of those things are life-changing by themselves. But together, they send a message to your brain that you are the kind of person who handles things quickly, calmly, without hesitation. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop giving anxiety room to grow, because procrastination isn't laziness, it's avoidance. And most of the time, what we're avoiding isn't even the task. We're avoiding the discomfort of starting. But the moment you tell yourself, if it takes 5 minutes or less, I don't wait, I move. You cut through that hesitation. You shrink resistance. You build rhythm. This rule also saves your future self. Think about how many times you've walked past the same mess or unfinished task and thought, I'll get to it. Days go by. Then finally, when you have to handle it, it takes longer and feels heavier than it should. Why? Because your mind already turned it into a mountain. You had to carry it for days. But when you just handle it in the moment, you don't have to carry it at all. The 5-minute rule isn't just about productivity. It's about peace. It's about closing the loop, ending the conversation with yourself. The decision is already made. You don't drag it with you into the rest of your day. And listen, this isn't about becoming some hyper-efficient machine. You're not racing, you're simply removing friction. It's amazing what happens to your mood when your space is just a little more in order. When your schedule isn't filled with tiny things you're dreading, when you stop saying, I'll do it later 10 times a day, and start saying, let's knock it out now. You don't have to start with everything, just start with one thing. You see that cup on your desk? Rinse. You've been meaning to reschedule that appointment. Pick up the phone, send a message, put the laundry in the basket instead of on the floor. Nothing glamorous, nothing huge, but powerful because it builds trust. You begin to trust yourself again. You say you'll do something and you do it. That consistency, that builds identity, and over time, those 5-minute choices create a reputation with yourself. You become someone who follows through. Someone who handles what needs to be handled without drama, without delay. The small things matter, the undone things drain. And the fastest way to feel lighter, clearer, more in control is to stop overthinking the small stuff and just do it. So the next time you're standing there and something needs to be done and your brain says, ladder, don't wait, just move. We live in a world where silence has become uncomfortable. The moment there's a pause, we reach, we tap, we scroll. Standing in line, sitting in traffic, walking from one room to the next, we don't let our minds breathe. And it's not because we're addicted to entertainment. It's because we've forgotten what it feels like to just be still, to sit with ourselves without a screen in our hands. Now, I'm not here to tell you to throw your phone in a lake. That's not realistic. Our phones connect us. They serve a purpose. But somewhere along the way, they stopped being a tool and started being a tether, a leash. And the longer we stay tied to it, the more disconnected we actually become from people, from our thoughts, from peace. So here's a small shift. One that sounds easy, but takes real intention. Put your phone down for just 1 hour a day. That's it. 1 hour. Not while you're asleep. Not when you're already in a meeting. I'm talking about one intentional hour during your waking day, where you choose presence over distraction, where you break the loop and remember what it's like to be fully where you are, with no screen between you and the moment. And let me tell you, it feels weird at first. Your brain will start to reach. You'll feel the urge to check something, anything. You'll feel like you're missing out, falling behind, or just plain bored. That's normal. That's withdrawal. Not from the phone itself, but from constant stimulation, from the dopamine hits that come every time you tap your screen. But here's where the shift happens. If you sit through that discomfort, on the other side of it is clarity. You begin to notice things again, the way the light hits the floor, the rhythm of your own breathing. You start hearing your own thoughts without the noise of everyone else's opinions layered on top. And it changes how you show up, because when you give yourself space, even just an hour, you become more grounded, more responsive, less reactive. You stop living in a state of constant urgency where every notification feels like a fire. You remember that not everything needs your attention right now, that most things can wait, that your peace is worth protecting, And something powerful happens when people notice you're not glued to your phone. They feel, whether it's your partner, your kids, your coworker, or even a stranger at the coffee shop, you being present becomes a mirror for them. It invites deeper connection, real conversation, eye contact, energy. You don't have to fill every moment. You don't have to be accessible every second. In fact, you're not meant to be that pressure, that expectation to always be available. That's not real. That's cultural noise. You have the right to step back and reclaim your time, even if it's just 60 minutes a day. And listen, it doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't need to announce it to the world or set up a fancy ritual. Just set the phone down, walk outside, read a page, have a real talk with someone, sit in silence, cook without checking your feed between steps. Let your mind wander. Let your soul exhale. The truth is, we keep saying we're too busy, too stressed, too overwhelmed, and then we check our screen time and realize we're losing hours a day to distraction. It's not a time issue. It's an attention issue. And your attention, that's your most valuable resource. What you give it to shapes your entire life. So protect it. Guard it. Reclaim it. 1 hour, one simple decision, one sacred boundary between you and the noise. Not because phones are bad, but because you deserve to be fully here, fully alive, fully present. And that starts when you stop scrolling and start living. Life doesn't change just because you work harder. Sometimes it changes because you think differently. And a lot of that comes down to the questions you ask yourself every day. The quiet ones, the ones that shape how you see the world and how you show up in it. Most of us don't even realize we're asking questions all day long. We just feel the effects. We feel stuck, frustrated, drained. And when you trace it back, you'll often find a question running under the surface, like, why is this happening to me? Or off. What's wrong with me? Or why can't I ever get this right now? These questions might sound honest, but they're not helpful, because your brain will always try to answer the question you give it. And if the question assumes something's broken, your brain will go looking for proof that you're broken. If the question assumes that you're a failure, it'll start building a case that you are. So let me offer a shift, a small one, but a powerful one. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what is this trying to teach me? Same situation, totally different outcome, because the first question makes you a victim. The second makes you a student. And when you move from victim to student, you regain power. You stop spiraling and start growing. I've seen this play out with people going through hard seasons, job loss, relationship stress, failure, disappointment. And when they stay in that place of why me? But the moment they shift to what is this here to teach me, their posture changes, their tone changes. They start leaning forward instead of shrinking back. Because now even pain has a purpose. Even discomfort becomes data. And this doesn't mean everything happens for a reason. In some cliche kind of way, it just means you get to choose the meaning. You get to take whatever life throws your way and decide what kind of question you'll ask about it. It applies in the small moments too. One better question: what am I learning here? What can I control? What would the best version of me do next? These aren't just self-help slogans. These are tools. It's mindset. And mindset isn't just some motivational buzzword. It's a daily practice, one you build question by question. So the next time you feel overwhelmed or stuck or frustrated, pause, and instead of spiraling into self-blame or judgment, ask something different, something forward-facing, something growth-minded. Let the question you ask lead you toward clarity, not chaos. Because the questions you ask quietly become the life you live. Let's talk about movement. Not workouts, not routines, not six-pack abs, just movement. The kind that doesn't need a gym membership or a meal plan. The kind that simply reminds your body it's alive. Somewhere along the way, we turned movement into a performance. It became this all or nothing thing. If we weren't lifting heavy or running fast or burning 1,000 calories, it didn't count. But that's not how the body works. The body doesn't need punishment. It needs rhythm, a little momentum, a signal that says, hey, I'm still here. Let's keep going. You'd be surprised how much can change with just a little movement. I'm talking 5 minutes of walking, a few stretches when you wake up, standing outside, letting the sun hit your skin while you roll your shoulders and take a deep breath. Not to get fit, not to lose weight, just to reconnect. Because when your body gets stagnant, so does your mind. You feel sluggish. You feel stuck. You're not tired because you've done too much. You're tired because you've done nothing that breathes life into you. Movement isn't about appearance. It's about energy. It's about signaling to your nervous system that you are safe, grounded, and capable. When you move your body even a little, your mood starts to shift. Stress doesn't grip as tight. That fog in your brain, it begins to clear. You start to come back to yourself, and you don't have to block off an hour. You don't have to change your clothes or track your steps. You just have to move. Take the long way to the mailbox. Put on a song and sway in your kitchen. Walk around the room while you're on the phone. These small moments, they matter. Because here's the thing. Consistency beats intensity. Always. One intense workout a month doesn't do what a few minutes of gentle movement each day can do. This is about building a relationship with your body. Not one based on pressure or shame, but on care. You're not punishing your body into wellness. You're inviting it. And let's be real. So many of us live in our heads all day. We're overthinking, overanalyzing, overstimulated. But the way out of your head is through your body. Movement brings you back to the present. It grounds you. It pulls you out of the endless scroll of thoughts and says, feel this moment right here, right now. If you're feeling anxious, move. If you're feeling heavy, move. If you're stuck at your desk, move. Not because you have to hit a goal, but because your body was never meant to stay frozen. Even a 2-minute reset can change the course of your whole afternoon. And if you're someone who's already overwhelmed with everything else on your plate, don't add pressure here. Add grace. This isn't another thing to do. This is a gift you give yourself. A few deep breaths, a stretch, a shake of the arms, a reminder that you are still in control of something, even when life feels out of control. You're not too busy to move. You're too valuable. This isn't about motivation. It's about momentum. And momentum starts with the tiniest step. One that says, I don't need to do everything. I just need to do something. That's where the shift begins. Not with the perfect plan, but with presence, with motion, with honoring the body that's carrying you through this life. So the next time you're overwhelmed or numb, or just not feeling like yourself, don't wait for the energy to show up. Create it. Stand up, move, even just a little. That little bit could be the moment that everything else starts to shift. One of the most life-changing things you can do. One of the most freeing, most powerful habits you can build is learning to say no without explaining yourself. Just no. Not no because I'm really tired. Not no. I wish I could, but I have so much going on. Not no. Maybe next time. Just no. It probably sounds simple, but it's not easy. Most of us were trained either directly or indirectly to soften our no, to pad it with excuses, to over-apologize, to make sure the other person feels okay even if it means we don't. Because we confuse kindness with accommodation. We think boundaries are rude, that protecting our time, our energy, or our peace is selfish. But it's not selfish. It's self-respect. You don't owe people explanations for how you manage your own life. You don't owe everyone access to your time just because they asked for it nicely. You can be kind and still say no. You can care about someone and still decline. Those two things aren't opposites. They're actually a sign of maturity. And I want to be clear, saying no without explaining doesn't mean you're cold. It means you trust yourself. It means you've stopped performing for approval. It means you know your limits and you honor them without guilt. We tend to think that by explaining, we're being more polite, but often we're just creating space for our boundaries to be negotiated. When you say no and then give a reason, you're handing someone a lever to try and pull you back in. Oh, you're tired. It'll just be a quick thing. You're busy. Can't you squeeze it in? and suddenly you're justifying your life to someone else. You're stuck in a cycle of overcommitting and under-rewervering. But when you say simply and clearly, no, I can't, and leave it at that, you take back control. You communicate that your no is final, not rude, not angry, just grounded. And the people who respect you, they'll get it. They may not love it in the moment, but they'll respect it. Because what you're really doing is teaching people how to treat you. You teach people that you don't say yes unless you mean it, that your time isn't up for grabs, that your peace doesn't come with a price tag. Then this practice doesn't just protect your calendar, it protects your identity. Because every time you say yes when you want to say no, you chip away at your own voice. You stop trusting your gut. You start living in reaction to other people's wants instead of in alignment with your own needs. And that disconnect, it catches up to you. You start feeling resentful. You get exhausted. You begin to feel like life is something happening to you instead of something you're choosing. So here's the shift. The next time someone asks something of you, pause, breathe, ask yourself honestly, do I want to do this? Can I do this without harming my own peace or priorities? And if the answer is no, say it simply, respectfully, but clearly. You don't need a story. You don't need a paragraph. You don't need to over-explain or over-apologize, because no is a complete sentence. You don't need to feel guilty for honoring your capacity. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You don't need to exhaust yourself just to avoid a little discomfort. The people who love you want you healthy. The people who value you want you whole. And the truth is, when you start saying no from a place of peace, your yes starts to mean more, because it's real. It's not forced. It's not loaded with resentment or regret. It's a true yes. And that's the kind of presence the people in your life actually want. So give yourself permission to stand in your no without a story, without a defense, without guilt, because your peace is reason enough. Most people end their day the same way they started it: rushed, scattered, and distracted. Rished, scattered, and distracted. We crawl into bed, phone still in hand, the blue light of someone else's life, casting shadows on our own. We scroll until our eyes blur. Our minds stay busy long after the day is done, filled with noise, worries, regrets, and what-ifs. And then we wonder why we can't sleep, why we feel like the day just slipped through our fingers, why we wake up already tired. But what if the way we end the day matter just as much as how we began it? There's power in the pause, taking just a few quiet moments before your head hits the pillow to reflect, not to criticize, not to replay everything that went wrong, but to meet yourself with curiosity and grace, to ask, what did today teach me? Where did I grow? Say, what do I want to carry with me into tomorrow? And what do I want to let go of? This isn't some elaborate ritual. It doesn't need candles or journals or background music. It just needs you, honest, present, willing to sit with the truth of your day without judgment. You don't need to fix anything. You just need to notice, because the truth is, life is not made of big dramatic moments. It's made of small, invisible choices. And when you pause at the end of the day, you start to see those choices more clearly. You notice where you showed up fully and where you didn't. You see the conversation that drained you, the task you kept putting off, the tiny win you didn't celebrate. Do you see where you were patient, where you lost your cool, where you listened well, where you didn't? That kind of reflection creates awareness. And awareness is the beginning of change. You can't shift what you're not paying attention to. You can't grow if you're not learning from what's already happening in your life. And when you give yourself that moment, just a few quiet minutes to process, you stop being a passenger in your own story. You start being the author. Sometimes reflection will bring up things that hurt, mistakes, missed opportunities, moments you wish you could do over. That's okay. Growth is not about being perfect. It's about being honest. And the person who's willing to look at their day with clear eyes is already ahead of most. Other times, reflection will surprise you. You'll realize you handled something better than you thought. You'll remember a kind word you said or a small decision you made that actually took courage. Those are the moments we miss when we're always rushing forward. Reflection gives you the chance to catch yourself doing better than you realized. And here's the beauty of it. It doesn't take long. This can be done in 2 minutes. Lying in bed, lights off, phone on the nightstand, just You and your thoughts. Not spiraling, just scanning, not judging, just observing, a mental exhale at the end of the day. And if your mind wants to run through a list of everything you didn't get done or every way you fell short, pause right there. Ask yourself one more question of what can I be proud of today? It might be something big, it might be something tiny, doesn't matter. What matters is that you noticed, that you honored it, that you didn't let the day pass without holding space for yourself. That's the difference between living and just existing, between growing and coasting, between ending the day empty or ending the day aligned. So before you fall asleep tonight, give yourself that gift, not to perfect anything, but to be present with it, to learn from it, to grow through it. One quiet moment, one honest question. That's where real change begins. So here we are, 10 small habits, not flashy, not complicated, just real grounded shifts that have the power to reshape your life from the inside out. Start your day with intention. Make your bed. Use the 5-minute rule. Put your phone down for 1 hour. Ask better questions. Move your body just a little. Say no without explaining. Reflect before you sleep. None of these require you to become a different person. They just invite you to show up more fully as the person you already are. Less reactive, more present, less overwhelmed, more aligned. They compound, they build, and over time, these small habits quietly start rewriting your story. You don't need a complete overhaul. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You just need one decision, one habit, one step. Because the truth is, your life doesn't change when things get easier. It changes when you get clearer, and clarity comes from action. So take one of these today. Try it, stick with it, watch what happens. Change doesn't always come in big waves. Sometimes it whispers through the small, quiet choices you make every day. And those small choices, they're what change your life forever.